the tragic story of Sporus and Nero. Hello, and welcome back. Today, we delve into the dark heart of the Roman Empire to explore a story not of war or politics, but of a personal madness that became a public horror. This is a story about Emperor Nero, a man whose absolute power corrupted him absolutely, leading to an act of cruelty so strange it defies belief. And it is the story of Sporus, a young man whose identity was erased, forced to become the living ghost of a dead empress. Our story begins in Rome, around 65 AD. Nero is the emperor, a figure known for his extravagance, his artistic ambitions, and his terrifyingly volatile temper. Nero is deeply, obsessively in love with his wife, the Empress Poppaea Sabina. She is renowned for her beauty and her cunning political mind. But Nero's love is possessive and dangerous. One night, in a fit of rage, the emperor kicks his pregnant wife, leading to her death. The empire has lost its empress. Nero is consumed by a grief that quickly spirals into madness. He cannot accept that Poppaea is gone. He refuses to let her go. He commissions statues in her likeness and holds lavish ceremonies, but it's not enough. He begins a desperate, empire-wide search for a way to bring her back. His search leads him to a young boy, a freedman named Sporus. The boy possesses an uncanny, feminine beauty and, to Nero's mad eyes, bears a striking resemblance to his dead wife. In Sporus, Nero doesn't see a person, he sees a solution, a blank canvas upon which he can repaint the image of his lost love. Nero issues a horrific order. He commands his physicians to perform an ancient and brutal procedure on Sporus, castration. This act is the first step in a systematic and cruel process of erasing Sporus's identity and transforming him into a living doll. Sporus is then forced to wear Poppaea's clothes, her wigs, and her makeup. He is tutored on how to walk, talk, and carry himself exactly like a Roman empress. Nero even takes his name, forcing everyone in the imperial court to refer to Sporus by the name of his dead wife, Sabina. To complete the grotesque charade, Nero stages a full, public wedding ceremony. He marries the boy he now calls Sabina, with all the pomp and ritual due to an empress. He even provides a dowry, and has Sporus attended by the traditional handmaidens of an imperial bride. The illusion had to be perfect. For the next 2 years, Sporus is forced to live as Nero's wife. He accompanies the emperor to state dinners, public games, and official functions. Nero even takes his living doll on an extended tour of Greece, parading him before the crowds as his beloved empress returned to him. The Roman elite are horrified, but they are powerless. To challenge Nero's delusion would be to invite death. They play along with the charade. One courtier is recorded as having darkly joked, "It would have been well for the world if Nero's father had had such a wife." We can only imagine the psychological torment Sporus endured. His identity, his past, his very being, systematically wiped away. He was a prisoner in the emperor's fantasy, a living testament to a love that had curdled into a monstrous obsession. While Nero was lost in his private madness, the Roman Empire was crumbling under his neglect and erratic rule. The Senate and the army began to turn on him. In 68 AD, facing multiple rebellions and declared a public enemy by the Senate, Nero fled Rome. His reign of terror was over. Abandoned by all, Nero took his own life. According to the historian Cassius Dio, his last lament was for his wife, Sporus. With Nero's death, Sporus was technically free, but his ordeal was far from over. He was now a famous and tragic curiosity. He was immediately taken in by Nymphidius Sabinus, the head of the Praetorian Guard, who also married him and treated him as Nero's widow. After Sabinus was killed, Sporus was passed to Otho, one of the new contenders for the imperial throne, who was also fascinated by his connection to Nero. Sporus was trapped. He was no longer a person, but a symbol, a living relic of a hated emperor, passed between powerful men. The year 69 AD became known as the Year of the Four Emperors, a bloody civil war. The final victor was a cruel and gluttonous man named Vitellius. Vitellius decided to use Sporus for his own cruel entertainment. He planned a public spectacle, a gladiatorial show where Sporus would be forced to reenact a famous myth. The myth was the rape of Proserpina, a violent story of abduction. Sporus was to play the female victim, to be publicly humiliated before the Roman crowds. For Sporus, this was the final degradation. He had been a ghost, a doll, and a pawn. He refused to become a public spectacle. Rather than endure this last humiliation, Sporus found a way to take his own life. His tragic story finally came to an end. He was around 20 years old when he died, a young man whose entire existence was hijacked and destroyed by the whims of powerful men. What is the lesson from this tragic tale? It's a chilling look at what happens when absolute power meets absolute madness. Nero didn't just take Sporus's future, he took his past and his present. He stole his very identity. In the grand history of Rome, with its epic battles and political dramas, the story of Sporus is often just a footnote. But it serves as a powerful personal reminder of the real human cost of the tyranny and depravity that defined the end of Nero's reign. He was forced to become the ghost of a dead woman, and in doing so, he became a ghost himself. His story is a silent scream from the pages of history, a testament to the suffering of those caught in the orbits of monsters. It shows how an emperor's private grief, when twisted by insanity, can become a public crime against an innocent. Sporus was never allowed to be himself. He was forced to be a memory, a substitute, a thing. The final tragedy is that even in death, he is remembered not for who he was, but for what was done to him. And yet, by making the final choice to end his own life, he took back the only thing he had left, his own agency. His suicide was not an act of surrender, but a final, tragic act of defiance against a world that refused to see him as human. Thank you for joining us for this look into one of history's darkest personal tragedies. If you found this story compelling, please subscribe for more deep dives into the past.